What is up? Will here with Rennthusiast, and I'd like to welcome you to my introductory video about my 992 Carrera T ordering and pickup process. In this video, I'm going to take you through my thought process on speccing my 992 Carrera T. I'll give you guys a little bit of background about how I got here, and hopefully you'll learn a thing or two if you are considering picking one of these up and just kind of get yourself excited. So let me jump right in. If you guys have been following along on my journey, then you'll know I sold a 991.2 Carrera S in black a couple months ago now, and those videos, I did several of them. In those videos, I shared with you guys just how good I thought the car was and how much I loved the car. And you know, paradoxically, I sold the car. To give you the reasoning behind that decision, I was trying to avoid depreciating it. I drove the car for several months, learned to love it, figured out what I liked and what I didn't like about it. And then I sold it quickly enough before I racked up the miles to get all of my money back out. I was able to experience that Carrera S with really $0 out of my pocket, which was very, very cool. So when I sold that car, I knew there were things that I really liked about it and some things I didn't really like about it. And in my next modern 911, I knew I wanted another one of these cars. I decided that I wanted to find something that really not only got me excited about the driving experience, but also kind of the cosmetic or aesthetic experience as well. So I decided at the time I wanted to find a 991.2 Carrera T. I started beating the bushes. I started to use my search process, and I started to network to find a good car. As part of that process, I reached out to a really good friend of mine, the general manager of Porsche of Charlottesville, Virginia, and I let him know that I was interested in finding a 991.2 Carrera T, so if they took one in on trade, to let me know. He said, hey, yeah, I'll do it, thank you. And then he calls me back an hour later, and he said to me, I have an allocation for a brand new 992 Carrera T. Do you want it? And at the time, it was more than I wanted to spend, but after giving it some thought, I decided, man, I'd be a fool not to jump on this opportunity, and so I decided to go ahead and order one. So once I committed, he connected me with a sales rep, and I immediately came to this very page and began to play around with the Porsche Configurator. So at this point, what I want to do is I want to just take you through my thought process on optioning the car, and I will just say on the front end, man, this will make your eyes roll back, and there are a lot of decisions to make. So if you have played on this tool before, then you know that's the case. So let us start with the exterior colors. I did not choose white. I didn't choose any of these standard colors. I didn't feel like they were distinctive enough. Racing yellow crossed my mind, but I just think that a yellow car would be hard for me to live with long term. I went to the metallics, and neither jet black nor GT silver really sat right with me. I considered gentian blue, but again, not distinctive enough or loud enough, if you will, for me. So I then got down to the special colors, and even though they're almost $3,300, I decided to go down this path. Ice gray wasn't for me. Carmine red wasn't for me. Chalk is a color I absolutely love. If it were 4 or 5 years ago or whenever that color came out from Porsche, I would have chosen this color. But nowadays you see chalk or the chalk equivalent on Toyotas, Fords, Hyundais, you know, any number of like brands that aren't Porsche. So I just feel like it's overdone. That led me to Ruby Star and Shark Blue. So Ruby Star is a very interesting, bold color. I saw a number of Porsches in Ruby Star when I was at Rennsport Reunion a week or so ago. And I found that in person, I really liked the color. However, my plan is to semi-daily this Carrera T, and I just didn't know if I could roll around town all the time in a Ruby Star car. So ultimately, I landed on Shark Blue. I saw a number of Shark Blue cars at Rennsport. I really like how the color presents. Yes, it's a little bit loud, but it's also not out of control. So that is the path I'm going down. With regards to wheels, I don't really like how I don't like the shape of these wheels. And as far as the Spider wheels, I like them. I had them on the black Carrera S, but I felt like they were a little bit busy for this car for whatever reason. And so I just stuck with the base option or the standard equipment. And I think these are great wheels. What you're talking about is the high gloss titanium gray and they match the mirror caps, by the way. So anyway, that's the wheel I went with. Would love to hear your thoughts. Would you have gone with any of these or either of these other options? Wheel colors, high gloss black, satin black. I've shared with you guys before that I'm not a black wheels guy, so I went ahead and just didn't do that. Interior, hugely important part of the decision-making process for me. I felt like the Carrera S was lacking in a very special interior. And so, you know, if you have any experience with those cars, you know the dash feels plasticky and cheap, door caps feel cheap, and I just found that to be pretty surprising, given that I don't remember what the sticker on that car was, but well north of 100K. Where I went is the interior package in leather with stitching in slate gray. So for almost $7,000, that was a tough number to swallow, but I really wanted to lift the feeling inside of the cabin, and so I felt like this full leather option was the path I wanted to go down. Seat selection was another area that I struggled with, so I should pause and say that if you guys have watched any of the videos or read any of the reviews out there, or you know about the Carrera T or the philosophy behind the car, you know that it's a lightweight option in the 911 lineup. And I fought with that because I think that the buckets would have been a good option, and the sport seats, the four-way, would have been a good option to stay in alignment with that philosophy. The buckets I'll start with, I have those seats in my 981 Spyder, and I absolutely love them. I think they look amazing, and certainly once you climb into them, they are great to ride in. But climbing in and out of them is a little bit of a bear. Again, I'm going to be semi-dailying this car, so I just didn't want to jump in and out over the bolster. Ultimately, I chose the adaptive sport seats, the 18 ways, because I really, really wanted comfort. I have, or I should say elevated comfort. I have a friend of mine who just took delivery of his GT3 Touring, and his advice to me was, you know, get exactly what you want. Don't worry about the philosophy behind the car. You're only going to do this once in theory, so get it the way you want. And so I did that. I would bet that the sports seats would have been adequate, but I decided to go ahead and jump in the 18 ways. So yes, they're heavier, and yes, they conflict, but they're what I wanted. I did not add rear seats to this car. I don't haul my family around in the back seat, and so this is a fine option for me. I didn't go with the ventilated seats because it changes the material and the centers of the seats, and I really, really wanted the Carrera T, the Carrera T interior. Exterior packages, I just saw the number and skipped over this. I mean, $6,680. No thanks. Exterior, again, I didn't want to start paying for these things. I'm sure that they're cool and you can adjust and improve and dial in the exterior look of your T if that's what you want to do. I just didn't want to get into a lot of this. I will say I splurged and I did the exclusive design fuel cap for $160. I'm sure you could get that aftermarket. Roof and transport systems. I went ahead and again made a decision to conflict with the philosophy of the car and chose the electric slide tilt sunroof and glass. My Carrera S had this feature and I absolutely loved it. I am a sunroof guy. I love to have the sunroof open and beautiful weather, and I went back to the whole idea of I wanted to spec the car as I wanted it. And so I went with this. Does it add weight? Sure. Do I know how much? No. Would I like to know? I would like to know. So if you have that info, please share it with me in the comments. But either way, I went ahead and just picked it. The decals, man, like if you're a Porsche person, you know that you can major and minors here, and that's exactly what I did with this decal. I submitted my build to the sales guy with this decal deleted. And then thought better of it. I figured I can always delete it later, and I really wanted to keep that touch of the Carrera T, and so I did order mine with the decal. Performance, I'm going to talk about this front axle lift system in a judgmental way. Don't need it, don't want it, $2,770. I have driven lowered 911s for quite a while, and rarely do I scrape in the front. I think it's all about skill and making sure that you know what you're doing when you're approaching inclines. I did add rear axle steering. Every review I've seen on YouTube of the 992 Carrera T says, hey, get rear axle. So, I mean, I figured for a couple grand, follow these guys' advice. $230, extended range fuel tank. Why not? $230 is a no-brainer. Transmission selection. Are you kidding me? All due respect to people who have done this, but why in the world would you choose a PDK on a Carrera T? I, of course, went with the 7-speed manual transmission. Lights. You could do a lot here, I guess, and spend a lot of money. I decided to go with the PDLS Plus. I figured it would kind of upgrade the lights with the ring there, and I just thought that it was a good option. Power folding exterior mirrors. You have to choose this option with another one down below that I'll talk to you about in a minute. It's the surround view, so you have to have the folding exterior mirrors. Interior package. I was told that the deviated stitching in different colors could delay your manufacturing process and delay your date. I just didn't want to get into that. Also, for $36.50, it wasn't worth it to me since, you know, the stitching is already deviated to a certain degree. The extended leather stuff, man, it just starts to get ridiculous on the side of the dash. I mean, unnecessary. Storage package I chose for $0. That is a net that they put down in the passenger footwell. Seat belts was very interesting. I wanted shark blue seat belts, but every time I selected it, kicked out the Carrera T Interior. I don't know what one has to do with the other. Steering wheel, shifter, man, again, maybe majoring in minors. I have said this in previous videos. Steering wheel is one of the most important things in the car. I mean, for me, it's about the texture of the wheel and the shifter, and I went back and forth. I love Race Tex. I have it in my 981 Spider. But I just felt like in this car, if I'm going to daily it, it just didn't make sense to, you know, get it because, you know, sweat gets into it and can you clean it? Yes, but I just didn't want to have to think about it. So I ended up going with the heated GT Sport steering wheel. That is the leather option of steering wheel. I also splurged a little bit and I chose the steering column casing in leather for $520. Maybe that's a little foolish. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I just, again, I thought I was trying to dress up the cabin. Interior, air vent surround in leather, air vent surround slats in leather, or painting the slats. I just $1,500, $1,600. Sorry, not for me. The keys are interesting. I chose to have the painted key in shark blue, and I thought I would go ahead and get the Race Tex pouch just because I wanted something I would touch in Race Tex. I did add Race Tex inside of the car, but not in areas that you touch. I'll get into that in a minute, but I thought a Race Tex pouch would be cool. I did the tack in white. I thought that would be a nice visual upgrade. And then I matched the Sport Chrono stopwatch dial in white so that they would match. I just thought that white would play really nicely with shark blue, and it was an upgrade. I touched on this earlier, roof lining in Race Tex. You don't touch it, so why not add it? $13.60, that does kind of suck, but again, elevated cabin. Sun visors in Race Tex, ouch, $590. Interior mirror panel in Race Tex, again, just kind of a splurge item. Seatbelt outlet trims in Race Tex. I finally drew the line and didn't do that. Just started to feel a little bit insulting. The assistance systems, I added surround view, and I just felt like that was going to be a convenience feature, and the rep I dealt with also said that this helps you from a value perspective. Not hugely, but people want this. This stuff here, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, remote park assist, all this stuff, like it's overdone for a T, and I just didn't want to spend the money, candidly. Same with this InnoDrive. I don't even know what it does, okay? I did add the Porsche Dashcam prep because it feeds power, a power line, a power source that you can tap into behind the rear view mirror, and I want to do that ultimately for a radar detector just to keep the cables out of my way and put it up top there by the mirror. Audio and communication, the Bose surround sound system. is certainly more than adequate. I have that in my Spider. Delivery experience, I didn't do any of this. I was at the top of my appetite for spend. That's the build, guys. That was the thought process behind it. If you're in the middle of ordering one of these, or at least you have thoughts on maybe some of my decisions, especially the race tech stuff, I'd love to hear it. And this is the first of maybe 3 videos I'll do on the experience. I've been getting Porsche Track Your Dream emails that have been keeping me up to date on the manufacturing process. If you're looking at one of these, or you're just kind of interested in what the ordering process of a 911 is, I hope you've gotten something out of this, and I hope to see you for the next video.